Welcome into Module 5. In this video, I'm going to talk about the intro to branding, some things you can start doing once you've identified that product that's working, you're making consistent sales. Just to give you a frame of reference, these are some things I start to implement around that phase where I'm in the $500 to $1,000 a day range, which is usually one you don't stumble into by accident. You're at least breaking even, and starting to do these things is, some of them you'll see cost a little bit of money. So those are things I'm using with the profits of the business. That's how I like to think about it. So some of the things I'm not doing until it's making money. And also some of these things will help you get into further profit. So shortly we're going to talk more about those outside variables like I'd mentioned earlier with upsells and email marketing. Some of those things can help you increase the profit. So all of it ties together. I'm going to pull it together here in this video with the branding side of things, with 3 easy things and then 3 more in-depth things. So kind of 3 more entry-level things that I do first before the other 3. Number 1, your own content only. So you might have used a couple cool pictures you found on Google or some, really unique video, and you mixed 4 other ones together and took some clips. I get it, and we've all been there, but there's no reason when you're trying to build a brand to have somebody else's content. That just will not work. It goes against everything. It's just not something I would recommend, and to be honest, it can only cause problems. I've seen somebody use pictures from somebody else's store, just one photo for one of their products, and their entire Shopify store got taken down with a DMCA claim, which is like a copyright claim. So use your own content only. It's just not worth it. The more you scale, the more attention you're going to have on you, the more eyeballs from competitors as well as customers. So just keep that in mind. New photos on the store. I like to do a whole revamp, a photo shoot. Usually that's going to cost $1,000 to $2,000. Get some really, really great photos. That's great. And then new videos with your own unique clips, right? So moving forward, once the product's working, everything's fine, I'm only using my own videos. And you'll see in a minute how we start to get a lot more videos. So number 2 is social proof, and this is a huge one, starting to build and cultivate that social media audience, just like how we talked about having like a lot of like engagement, both comments and likes on your videos. When you have 6 million views on a video that people can see on your TikTok account, that's natural social proof. And then you pair that with 45,000 followers and a lot of good comments, it's just, you start building that social proof, people see it, and that actually helps them convert more, and then it's just a snowball effect. Then you get even more followers, more likes, which converts to more sales. So it's really cool. But consistent, unique content being posted, okay? And again, primarily this would be on TikTok. That's going to be the lowest hanging fruit for you. And Spark ads running on TikTok, which we've obviously already covered, to build the engagement and followers. Now, the reason that I'm running Spark ads is because they work. It's the fact that it's a post where the engagement stays. It's as simple as that. We do the same thing over on Facebook. The cool thing is I just so happen to get a lot of extra followers every single day by running it. So it's kind of like that, the double entendre or whatever you call it, where you're doing it for one reason, but you get another benefit. And so again, it's not the goal, but it is something that will happen. And sometimes if I have a really cool video, even if it's not making a ton of money, sometimes I'll let the ads run and spend just like $100 or $200 so that it gets a few 100,000 views, so that every video on my TikTok feed has views. You can essentially buy the views. So that's one strategy. Number 3 is basic email marketing. We will get into this in its own video. I want to kind of walk you through the sequences, different things we do for both abandoned carts, which is one sequence for people who started to check out and then didn't complete it, and also for people who are already customers of yours. So one thing to focus on, we'll talk more in the other video about automated sequences, which is where you're basically pitching people, you're trying to sell other products, but also you can have a weekly newsletter. Send an email every Sunday or every Saturday, and don't be pitching 24/7. You're going to get low email open rates. And for me, email marketing has never been crazy. The automated sequences do well, but I do like to have an engaged email list. And if you're just always trying to sell and promote your newest product, it's not going to do well. So give them some sort of tips. If you're selling let's say you're selling like charcoal teeth whitening, right? You're in the teeth whitening space. Give tips on how to floss, how to brush, all those things that like are around that. Different foods that are worse for your teeth than acidic, or foods that get stuck in between the teeth, or how sugar, reacts. Like, you get it. Like, that's just off the top of my head. Every single niche, every product, there's something you can give of value to that audience. There has to be. Okay. Now, 3 more serious things that you'd probably do after that. Some things you can start to work on. Obviously, implement these whenever you feel like it's the right time. Is number 1, micro influencer campaigns. This is one of my favorites because there's so many different benefits to this, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Actually, let's stay on this for a quick second. But the micro influencer campaigns are super cool, just because you get both sales from what they're doing, you get a lot of cool custom content, and it's really good for branding because you have when we're first starting, small influencers shouting you out, backing you up, and following your page. So it's just some natural social proof. We really like that. I'll talk more about how to structure that in a bit. And then number 2, custom packaging. This is a huge one, but just talk to your suppliers supplier, usually around the point where your product's working, you're doing 30, 40 orders a day, maybe $1,000, $2,000. That's usually the point where you're probably looking to switch up your supplier. And so you'll probably be working with a dropshipping agent. I'll have a resources video in here in the bonus section talking about that, as well as a couple other, like, my favorite apps and favorite things like that. But talking to your supplier, see if they can do it. Just so you know, unless you're shipping something that's super large, like, even like a shoebox can cost a lot more. But if it's like a little slip package like you'd get from Amazon, it's not a box, it's like a slip package where you put a t-shirt or a pack of pens, whatever you're ordering. Those are usually going to cost, depending on the quantity you're ordering and how cool like the graphics are on it, you're going to pay 20 to 50 cents. Like, that's it. So your custom packaging in almost any situation should never exceed $1 per order. That's very steep. So again, unless you have like a big box or something unique, or it's very fragile, so you need a lot of bubble wrap or something like that, can change it. But a standard piece of custom packaging, I mean, I've gotten it down to 15 cents. So it just obviously depends on the amount that you're ordering. Most suppliers and stuff for your custom packaging have what's called an MOQ. It's a minimum order quantity, and it's usually 500. So if it's 50 cents and you're going to order 500 of them, yeah, it's $250. It's not that bad, but then it is sitting there with them, and they can use it to fulfill. So again, just one thing you can do that really just helps the overall branding. And by the way, all of this ties together. So if you have really cool custom packaging, you're going to want that before you start doing micro influencer campaigns, because you're going to send the influencer your product, and I can guarantee you, if you're doing 10 of them a month or 10 a week or whatever, 20, 30, 40% are going to show the package if it's a custom package. So it's one of those things that you can kind of use to your advantage from a branding perspective. Number 3, hire really good support. As you're getting up into that $1,000 plus a day, it's not going to make sense for you to answer the emails. Now, if you're doing 30 orders a day, you're not getting 30 emails a day. But over time, they start to compound, and they will stack up, and people reaching out, and then conversation back and forth, and maintaining that. So just basic things. Hire someone really good if you haven't already. It doesn't cost too much to have somebody doing emails full time. Like, it's like $200 to $300 a week to have somebody who has like years of experience. Go on Upwork or Freelancer, and you can find somebody who has experience, who speaks fluent English or whatever language you need. It's a very diverse marketplace out there, and you can get somebody, so that you can have a great customer experience. That's really something that's important. Eventually, you can pay more than this. I've had support people from Canada that costed a lot more. At one point, I tried a phone support team where you pay per phone call. So that was kind of interesting. It didn't really add any value, and so we have a very fast response time on the emails, a couple hours at most. So it's one of those things you can kind of start doing. Eventually, you'll get more people if needed, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. So these are like 3 a little bit more in-depth things. We'll dive more into the micro influencer side of things. But yeah, these are some things you can start out with doing, and then these are kind of like the next step beyond that, so that you can start building a brand. And just to point it out, a brand gets such better conversion rates, returning customer rates. It's things like that that do affect your ad performance, because if they're coming to your website and you already have a big following, you have your own content, everything's unique, you will do better. Your numbers will be better. And it's tough because a lot of these things, there's not really a trackable ROI. Even micro influencers, it's not a pixel. You cannot track the amount of sales unless you're not running paid ads, and the only ad going up is with the influencer, which you're not doing. So it's one of those things, it's just like custom packaging. It's that extra cost, and you just have to have a little bit of a longer term outlook with it. But that is the intro to branding, some things that we do. I do all of those things on these stores, and it works really well. So yeah, jump into the next video, and let's keep going.